These are the solutions for the second review for the final exam in the second trimester of Algebra 2. So problem 1, what is the standard form of this cubic function? So you have to multiply this all out. I know we used Wolfram Alpha to do this, but I am going to do the FOIL product first and then distribute the 2x. So minus 1x plus 3x is plus 2x. So I added the outer plus the inner. Now distribute the 2x through. And that is D. Number 2, using the triangle to the right, determine the value of cosine of C. So adjacent over hypotenuse, 7 over 25. Okay, if 5x plus 6 equals 10, what is the value of 10x plus 3? So solve for x first. X is 4/5. So 10 times 4/5 plus 3, and that would be 11. 40 over 5 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. Number 4, solve for x. So we can do a cross product. And then, so 10 minus 5x, negative 6x minus 3. So collect all your x terms on one side. So add 6x to both sides, subtract 10. All right, so I'm showing the graph, and then g of x gets transformed to h of x. I'm sorry, h of x gets transformed to g of x. So this graph gets moved to this one. So it looks like we're going 7 to the right and then 5 up. That wasn't very straight. So that's what we need to put in to, we need to put the inverse expressions into, so this h of x plus a would be x minus 7. And then, so you'd have this, you'd have y minus 5 equals h of x minus 7. That's what you would have. And so then you'd add 5 to both sides. So b would be 5 and a would be negative 7. So it just depends on what they're asking for in that problem. All right, what is the domain of this function? So you're going to take what's ever under that square root greater than or equal to 0, because that's what has to be. X can't be anything negative, so x minus 7 has to be positive. So x is greater than or equal to 7 is that right one. So we want to solve for, we want to set equal to each other, these two, and then solve for r. Oh, interesting. So that makes this a little crazy. So yes, you want to multiply by 3 on both sides to get rid of all fractions. Then we can divide out like by 4 pi on both sides, so that creates a 3. Just divide both sides by 4 pi, that creates a 3. And now divide by r squared. So 3 equals r, and then you would just subtract the exponents there. That's a pretty goofy little equation. Find the perimeter of this. So this is a 30, 60, 90. So this is going to be 12. This is going to be 6 times the square root of 3. So use your notes from this guy right here. Okay, how that works, twice the side opposite 30 is the hypotenuse, so on and so forth. Okay, and so add all that together. 6 square root of 3 plus 6 plus 12. What does that equal? 28.4. Problem 9. Which of the following is a graph of the equation? So you can know that negative 60 is the y-intercept. Multiply 10 through. There it is. That's all you got to do. Negative 60. Write the linear equation in standard form. So this is about getting x and y on the same side. So add 6x to this side and then subtract 4 over. So 6x plus y equals negative 40. So it's just about x and y on the same side and then all your numbers to the other side. Standard form for what it's worth. Given the equation, and x equals 7, what is the value of k? Okay, so we're going to have, we're going to get 7 on the other side. So x equals 7, that goes in. Now we're going to square both sides. So 2k squared plus 17, sorry about that, plus 17 equals 49. Square both sides. Or raise both sides to the 1/2 power, either way. So 2k squared equals 32. You can isolate k squared equals 16. So k is equal to plus and minus 4 if you want. And k has to be greater than 0. So we throw out this piece, we throw out the negative 4. So just 4. What is the horizontal asymptote for this function? So you want to take the ratio of the highest powers, of the coefficients and the highest powers. So negative 12 over 4. If those highest powers are the same, that's critical. They are. If the power is higher in the numerator, the highest power is higher in the numerator, there's not one. And if the highest power is higher in the denominator, it's 0. Okay, so that is from your notes. Approximate the value of x on the right triangle. So this is a cosine, 52 equals 14 over x. Remember, a and h. A makes the right angle. So x times cosine of 52 equals 14. So x is going to be 14 over the cosine of 52. And you divide it out, and that's about 22.7. 14, the equation of the graph. What is the product of the distinct x-intercepts of the graph? So we have one that's -2, one that's -1, one that's 1, one that's 2. So make sure that you don't, the multiplicities don't come into play here, just the x-intercepts come into play. 15, what is the extraneous solution to that equation? So it's a solution that you get algebraically, so we got to do the algebra, and then it's not a solution when you go back and substitute it in. So here's what we have to do. We have to take everything to one side that's not the square root. So there's that. Now we need to square both sides. So this has got to be squared like this. And then this, you just raise the square root off them. So 9 minus 6x plus x squared. Make sure you do the FOIL product correct. Then take everything to one side. So x squared minus 4x minus 12 equals 0 when everything is on one side. And then your two solutions would be 6 and -2. Okay, so don't forget that you can use a root finder to get that 6 and -2. So which one is extraneous? So you have to substitute back in. 6 does not work, because what happens is you get 3 plus 12 on this side is 15. And then on this side, you get 18 plus 9. So you get 18 here, and then 2 times 6 is 12. 21 minus 12 is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So actually 21. But at any rate, when you put 6 in on the right, it's not equal to 6 in on the left. So that's gone. So -2 is the solution. 6 is the extraneous solution. So tough problem there. You have to figure out which one does not work. And you actually you're forced to do the algebra, because that's the definition of an extraneous root. Okay, so here's this setup. 8 and 5. Okay, what is the total distance that she ran? So we need to figure out x. So x is about 9.4. Use the Pythagorean theorem. You can do that. And so we need to add now the 8, the 5, and the 9.4 together. It's about 22.4 miles. Okay, 17, solve E equals mc squared for C. So the first thing we need to do is to divide both sides by m. And then we need to raise each side to the 1/2 power. So C is the square root of E over m, which is E over m to the 1/2 power. Okay, so we have a volume statement here of 7 pi k to the third over 48. That equals the volume of 473. What is the value of k? Okay, so we need to solve for k by doing a cross product. So 7 pi k to the third, or multiply both sides by 48 is a better way to put it. It's 22,703. Both sides by 48. And then divide both sides by 7 pi. And then both sides get the 1/3 power. Okay, so you have k to the third would equal about a 1032.4. And then you raise both sides to the 1/3 power, and you get about 10.11. When 4 times the number is added to 12, the result is 8. Okay, so that's going to be -1. What number results when 2 times x is added to 7? So 2 times x, and we add to 7. That result is 5. Simple problem there. For what value of x is the function undefined? Oh, this is a great question. It looks like 5, but it's trickery. So we have to work out this whole bottom here. You can't, it's not 5. 5 will not make the bottom 0. So we need to FOIL this out. Trickery here. We have trickery. X plus 25 plus 4x minus 20 plus 4. So what is all of this? Minus 6x, and 25 minus 20 is 5 plus 4 plus 9. So that's what the bottom should be. And so that factors into x minus 3 times x minus 3. So 3 is the one that does. You can also put that on your table and look to see, you know, at 3 you would see undefined, at all the rest you would not. So that's another way to approach that. Which of the following is a cubic binomial? So I need a cubic of 2 terms. There it is. Which of the following is the vertical asymptote? Where is their vertical asymptote in this function? So you need to really factor the top and the bottom. Here's the factoring of the top. So I'm assuming by doing these factorings quick that you know factoring very well. Okay, so the x plus 9s drop out. So we have a vertical asymptote at -4. At -9 is a hole in the graph. And at -7 is the x-intercept. Okay, what are all possible values of k that satisfy that equation? K equals, okay, so we need to add 4. And then we need to square both sides. So squaring the left is like this. Then we'd have 10 plus 3k. So k squared plus 8k plus 16 equals 10 plus 3k. So we're gonna have this quadratic to solve, plus 5k plus 6. So -2 and -3 are going to be the 2. Which expression is equivalent to cosine of 35 in this triangle? So cosine of 35 is y over x. So which one gives y over x? I would say sine of 35, or sine of 55, sorry. This one here, opposite over hypotenuse, y over x. Also, sine of 55 does it. So as you pick 55, then the O and the A change. This becomes your O, that becomes your A. So sine of 55. So 5x over 6y times 3 over 10y. Yep, so 15x over 60y squared. So reduce the numeric part. So x over 4y squared. You got to reduce the 15 over 60. What is the value of x? So we have x minus 1 over 3 equals 3. X minus 1 equals 9. Add 1 and you get 10. So some pretty simple ones on this also. We're trying to balance out the problems. Yeah, just a couple more pages. Consider that equation. Solve for x in terms of y. Okay, so we're going to multiply through to remove parentheses 3x plus 3y. We want to get our x terms alone on one side. So 7x equals 3y minus 6. Okay, so all x terms to the left, everything else to the right, and then divide by 7. So 3y minus 6 over 7. Okay, which of the following could be? So we have an x minus 5, we have an x plus 3, we have an 11x minus 9. No question about it. Okay, what is the value of w? So 3/5 w equals 4/3. So how about multiplying both sides by 5 over 3? So w is 20 over 9. What is the measure in degrees of angle C? So how about cosine inverse of 8 times the square root of 3 over 16? And that is going to be 30 degrees. Solve for r. So the first thing we want to do is eliminate the bad fractions, 4 pi r to the third. Then we want to isolate the r to the third by dividing by 4 pi. So r to the third is 3v over 4 pi. Now we want to raise this to the reciprocal power. 3v over 4 pi to the 1/3. Now that also means cube root. Okay, so know that that is the same thing. And so that's what B is saying. So this is the same as the cube root. To the 1/2 power is the same as the square root. So it has to do with that. That's a 1 right there, and then that's a 3. So cube root to the 1/3 power, square root to the 1/2 power. All right, last page. Okay, so here's this problem again, this time just 1. So we've got t over 2, that's the time or Max's part that he does. And then t over 3 is his brother's part to make the whole job. And so you solve for t, so how about multiplying everything by 6 left to right? So 3t plus 2t equals 6. So 5t equals 6. T is 1.2 hours is the time together that it would take them. What is the solution to this equation? So we want to do a cross product. 7 times 2x minus 3. So 9x minus 6 is 14x minus 21. So how about negative 5x this way? And add 6 would be negative 15 the other way. And 3 would be it. If a is 5 times the square root of 2, so that's times 2, so 10 times the square root of 2 equals square root of 2 times x. What is the value of x? It's got to be 10. So you just do 2 times 5 times the square root of 2, which is 10 times the square root of 2. And, oh, whoops, sorry, that's not right. That extends across x, sorry about that, it's not 10. We need to square both sides. So this would be 200 equals 2x. So the difference is the square root goes across the x. So now we're forced to square both sides. So 100 equals x, sorry about that. If it didn't, then I would have been right. Okay, 35, solve for h. Well, we want to multiply by 2 to get rid of fractions and then divide by b. So 2a over b, easy enough. All right, so what is wy in this figure? A little geometry for you. So we have these 45, 45, 90 right triangles, both here. So this has got to be 8 and this has got to be 8 based upon the legs being the same. Not too hard, so 8 plus 8, 16. You have to add those together. What are the values of m that are the solutions to this equation? So I didn't show this work before, I will this time. You need to get common denominators across the board. And then we're going to subtract over 3. It's all going to be equal to 0. So the common denominator is going to be m minus 1 times m plus 1, all the way across. Times m plus 1. M minus 1 times m plus 1. And then we're just going to take whatever missing, so negative 2m times m plus 1. And this is going to be 3 times m minus 1. And then this is going to be 3 times m minus 1 times m plus 1. And we're going to solve this equal to 0. Minus 2m plus 3m minus 3. And now we have to do this out, run the negative through. It's quite a pain. we'll put the 3 here. This will be m squared minus 1. So we're just going to, that's just the top, and that's all of what we want to deal with. So the product here, this FOIL product, is m squared minus 1, and then we have to run that negative through. So you end up with negative 5m squared when you run the negative 3 through here. And now combine all your m terms. So you're going to have minus 2m when we're said and done, and then plus 3. Wait a minute here. This is minus 3. Sorry about that. That's minus 3. So plus m. And then this negative 3 plus 3 will be 0. So let me rewrite this whole thing. Sorry. Negative 5m squared was right. So plus m, so I made the mistake. This is negative 3 when I distribute up here, right there, just negative 3. So plus m right there, and then you have negative 3 plus 3 when you distribute right here, which is 0. Okay, there's the final quadratic. Anyway, you solve that and you get 0 and negative 1/5. So we don't want the negative 1/5. All right, I had to pause there for a moment. So negative 1/5 is extraneous. And so you get rid of it. It is a solution to that top quadratic that's in the numerator, but it's not a solution to the overall equation. So it is extraneous. So 0 is the only one. Just a neat little thing here. So here's the table of this. So I went to negative 1/5, and notice how it's not 0, but when I reset the table at 0, I get 0. So wherever you find a 0 in the y column, that's, you know, where it's going to be a solution to. So you see there, it's a little bit hard to see. I could probably zoom in around 0, but 1/5 is not, negative 1/5 is not a solution to this. Okay, so that ends the solutions to the second review for the exam in the second trimester.